Next two, let's go ahead and hear from Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle. He is at the podium talking to the media.
Much tighter game than the last one in a lot of ways. Difficult, physical. Thought our guys held their composure very well through some runs and a lot of crowd noise and a lot of commotion, and they kept their poise. So it's day 3 of 13 days, and no one's getting ahead of themselves. There's a lot of work to do.
What did you make of what Pascal Siakam did today and the opportunities he had during the
Special game. You know, early in the first half, he was the guy that got us going and got us through some difficult stretches. Thought he really picked his spots to be aggressive. He ran great. You know, he did everything. He attacked the rim. He was great in mid-range, and he you know, the three-point shot was there. And so you know, it's hard to score that number of points in a game like this, where you always have a physical matchup defensively, and there's a guy crashing and flying at the basket, but he did a phenomenal job, and you know, it's a quiet 39 points. It really was.
You mentioned just the tough matchup he had. He's had obviously really difficult matchups the entire playoffs, to be honest, to Evan, to OG. Just what's it been like for him to work through those scenarios and find his opportunities over the course of the series when he's feeling back out there?
Yeah, he's a veteran who's been in these situations multiple times. He understands the importance of patience and being disciplined and understanding, you know, the NBA playoffs are a process. You have to keep working the process, you know, whatever your process is within the team. He never forces it, and when we get in a bind late clock, you know, he can get a shot up in the rim, and a lot of times it goes in. And so you know, he's been great. Been great all year. I'm not focused on that. We got to, you know, I mean, the last time we played at home, I guess we won the last time we played at home, but the game before that we lost. And so there are a lot of traps here. You cannot assume going home is going to be easier. It never is. Each game as you ascend in a playoff series becomes harder. You know, and New York is, you know, they've got an amazing fighting spirit, and so, you know, we're gonna have to keep concentrating on our process, making it hard on them, you know, trying to keep tempo in the game, and the rebounding, you know, and the rebounding, it was better tonight. We lost the overall rebounding battle, but we didn't get hurt nearly as bad on the offensive boards, and that's something we got to continue to focus on. Started what? We're just trying to play our game, and you know, you get in an environment like this where there's so much noise and so much going on and so many distractions. If you allow yourself to be distracted, you know, we always talk about, you know, let the noise and all this other stuff be something to help trigger a narrowed focus on your teammates, on your job within the team, and so, you know, we had some success doing it in the first couple of games. You know, going home is going to be a different kind of challenge. Well, I thought the third quarter was a very good quarter for us. You know, it was 32-29, and you know, we're at Madison Square Garden, you know, which is one of the ultimate road environments with a tie game going into the fourth quarter, and really, that's all you can ask for. And then, now we've just got to try to execute as well as we can. And so, look, our bench did a really good job. I thought McConnell was terrific. Toppin had an underrated night. Tony Bradley hasn't played in the series, but he's one of our better rebounders, and so we elected to go with him to spell Miles a little bit. But we're a team that needs everybody, so that's how we got to play. But the second half, we kept good energy in the game. Our bench, McConnell, Toppin, Shepard did a really good job tonight. All our guys did a good job.
Greg?
It was about TJ. You said, the only did in the third quarter to break the defense down. Is that just kind of what TJ does?
Well, at this time of year, you have to play with a certain attitude. You have to play with a defiance. And it's kind of defined TJ's 10-year career in the NBA. And so he's done a great job throughout the playoffs of playing his game and not allowing some difficult situations deter him from keeping his focus on what he needs to do to help the team. So tonight I thought he was a real key to the game, and we're gonna need the same effort from everybody when we go home.
Justin?
Asked about him in pregame with Ben Shepard. Obviously hits 2 big threes and also gives you a lot of minutes there on Jalen Brunson. Just how important, again, was he tonight to give you what he can do?
He's always ready. And when you play against teams that at the point of attack are very strong, you need runners and movers and people that can scramble up the game a little bit offensively. And he just, a couple times he found, I think 3 times he found really good shots. I think he made 2 out of 3, and those were big plays. The one in the fourth quarter, I think it was, or maybe it was late third, up on top. That was a big momentum play at that moment.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Head coach Rick Carlisle, never too high, never too low, just always steady Eddie for him. I just asked you guys, I said, is he just an excellent coach? Does he have his team this prepared to go into Madison Square Garden, win these first 2 games? Now they're heading home, and who knows what's going to happen back in Indiana. But for a guy who's played in high-level games, coached in high-level games, I mean, how good of a coach is he?
He's that good. I've had a chance to know him, Zeke, since when I was in high school. One of my high school teammates went to UVA, and just watch. I always put he and Doc Rivers in a similar category where you're playing pickup game in the summertime. Yeah. And they say, okay, you're on this team, and you're actually picking up full court, playing the right way. And now this translates to his Boston days, being around Larry Bird and so forth. So when he says something, you listen right away because he's a professor, he's done his homework, he looked at film, and he's put the game plan together. You just got to buy into it.
There's one guy in heaven who's smiling down right now, and that's Chuck Daly. Because, Rick Carlisle is a Chuck Daly disciple. And, I was talking to Quinn Buckner the other day, and I said, watching Carlisle coach now, what he's done is he's mixed the old school with the new school. And he's pulling out plays from, the 1980s, running them in this situation. And coaches and players, they haven't seen these type of plays. They haven't, as much as we talk about a hawk cut, right? And we know it. Carlisle bring out a hawk cut, right? And he'll bring out a flare, all in the middle of his passing game, Bob Knight type action. So he's been brilliant to watch in the playoffs. And we say never get too high, never get too low. That is a direct saying from Chuck Daly. That comes from Chuck Daly. And when I watch Carlisle at his press conferences and everything else, Chuck Daly was never get too high, never get too low. And in the playoffs, and this is what I'm saying with Carlisle, Chuck Daly would say, never trust happiness. Don't trust it, right? If you win, don't trust it, because he's constantly getting you ready for the next game.
Absolutely.
And that's what Carlisle is doing. And you talk about, you hear him, the attention to detail, 13 days, right?
Yep.
So he's already mapped out 13 days, how we're going to travel, what we're going to eat, where we're going to stay, where we're going to practice, who's going to play, who's not going to play. I mean, and that was the type of detail that went into winning, and that was the type of detail that we had. You know, and I know Brendan Sir is watching this tonight, and if he's watching, you know, they real happy for Coach Carlisle, because, again, everything that he learned from Chuck Daly and Detroit and being with him in New Jersey and everything, I mean, they always said, hey, Rick Carlisle is going to be one of the best coaches ever. I mean, they knew it at a very young age, and Chuck had him, and he schooled him.
That's a great story. If people don't know that, he thought about playing some more, and Chuck said, you sure you want to play? You sure you want to come coach?
Yeah.
It's out there, so you're right on point. It's out there.
Chuck brought him on the bench.
Yes,
he looked at him and said, hey, you know.
Real story.
So he and Brendan Sir, they looked at Carlisle, and they was like, you know.
They saw it.
Yeah.
Yes, true story.
And I tell you this, right? So when Chuck Daly died, Rick Carlisle, now it was all the bad boys as the pallbearers, right? And the other one was Rick Carlisle.
Amazing. Amazing.
We carried him out.
Make that up.
Truly, just brilliant. It is brilliant to watch him.
And Carlisle has named the coaching trophy after Chuck Daly. It's the Chuck Daly Award for coaching, and that's Rick Carlisle. I mean, so, Coach, your man upstairs is doing all right.
Yeah, he's doing okay. He is so respected. He now has a 2-0 lead as they head back to Indiana. Let's go ahead and hear, though, from Mikal Bridges for the Knicks at the podium now, addressing the media.
Mikal, you guys played for the most part down for most of the fourth quarter, and you played a game high 45 minutes. I mean, did that just have a cumulative effect on the team down the stretch?
No, I think we just got started the fourth a little bit better. You know, they I think went up 7 or something, but yeah, we just gotta be better defensively. Just talk to each other, and offensively, just know what we're getting into. You know, try to make the right read.
Mikal, in that fourth quarter, they started running with McConnell in there, a lot of high pick and rolls and back slips to Turner and others down there. What was not working for you guys defensively in that stretch of the fourth quarter?
I know one time I done fouled the coverage, so I messed us up one time, and then I just think, we just, didn't help each other after a couple more times, but great team. They found the right plays. You just gotta, follow game plan and help each other.
Mikal, sorry, I apologize if you've already been asked this, but I believe the starting group has been a minus 81 this postseason. Just from your vantage point, what's been the biggest issue with starting halves, starting games with the first five?
I'm not sure, man. I don't know if I think it's maybe a defensive thing. I gotta see. Sometimes you're in it, you gotta go back and watch the game. But I don't know, man. I think you just gotta talk to each other off the jump, be physical off the jump. I think maybe we're just playing a little too soft in the beginning of the halves. I'm not sure.
Mikal, you were up, 2-0 in the last series against Boston. Now you're down 2-0. Just flipping that and just taking that mentality. What do you have to do you think, just to come back and philosophically just keep doing what you were doing all season in terms of just playing the game and looking for that win? Yeah,
just taking one game at a time. I know it's 2-0, but still a long series. We 1-1 first series, 2-0, up 2-0 last series, now down 0-2. Just got to find different ways, to advance. So, but we just got to be better defensively as a team, and offensively, make the right play. And because sometimes if we don't, they get out in transition, and we got to get back in transition as well.
Mikal, both games basically came down to the end. I mean, they were very different how they came down to the end. But do you take anything out of that? I mean, you know, that they were that close, and, you know, home court advantage is not such a big deal anymore in the NBA, it seems.
Yeah, just got to finish games. That's pretty much it. You know, just got to finish the games off. Like I said, hell of a team, really well coached, and they're not going to stop. And they play well at the end as well. So just got to find a way.